Hi everybody. Today we're going to be talking about how you know if you're making the right decision. So I've been talking about this, I feel like, more than usual this week, so I felt like it would be a good thing to make a video about. So you may feel alone in this, but actually I think it's pretty common for people to feel just completely paralyzed. They have a few different options in front of them and each has its pros and cons, and so we sit there weighing the pros and cons kind of indefinitely or ad nauseum, and we're never really able to make a step in any direction. It's scary, and you may remember times that you were in similar situations and you decided, you know what, screw it, we're just going to go for it, we're going to do whatever feels like the right thing in the moment, and then you may have really regretted it in the past. And so when we come up upon these experiences in the future, sometimes it can be really scary and it can be really difficult. However, as you know, eventually we're going to have to make some kind of decision, or we're going to be sort of sitting in limbo and not moving and not progressing and not changing as a person at all. And that's really unacceptable and pretty uncomfortable. It just really doesn't feel good to be stuck. So let's talk about it. How do you know that you're making the right decision? One thing that I like to talk about when somebody is trying to make a really big decision is, and this is just kind of like a base rule that I think is pretty helpful, is not to make any decisions when you have really heightened emotions or when you're in an experience of having very strong emotions. So I don't even care what the emotion is. You could be very angry, you could be very sad, you could be very happy, you could be super excited, you could be very anxious. Regardless of the emotion, I feel like when we have very strong emotions sort of driving the bus, so to speak, typically the rest of our brain is not really online. We don't know if the part of us, when everything is kind of stable and the same and normal, is really going to agree with that decision, because when we're having a really extreme emotional experience, we're not really seeing things in the same way that we are when things are pretty average, pretty normal, and we're feeling kind of run of the mill. And that's really the part of us that's going to have to deal with the consequences of the decision most of the time, is the part of us that exists most of the time. And that means that we want to make sure that that part of us is online. So some examples of this are, if you're in the middle of an argument with your significant other or with your spouse, that's not a great time to bring up breaking up. That's not a really good time to talk about, maybe we just need a divorce, or, maybe this just isn't working. Because when you come back down, you're probably not going to feel the same way. Now, let's say that you come back down and you are feeling the same way and you've been feeling that way for a while, and even when you're not arguing, even when things are fine, you're really feeling like it might be the end of the relationship. That's different, right? But we would approach that conversation differently. We would come to each other calmly and sort of discuss what might need to happen. It's very, very different from in the middle of an argument when you're very angry, just throwing it out there and saying, you know what, screw this, I don't like you. We need to get a divorce. So that's one example, is being really angry. Another is, when we're really happy or really excited. If somebody offers us a position or an opportunity, or, says that they want to date us or something like that, and we just get overwhelmed with excitement, that's not usually the best time to say yes, because you're probably not thinking about other commitments that you have. You're probably not thinking about, the logistics of it and the nuts and bolts of kind of what would need to happen for you to be able to do that. So it's usually best to say, I'm super excited. Thank you for the offer. This makes me really happy. Give me a week and I will come back to you and I will make a decision. So number one, if you're trying to make really big decisions, notice how heightened your emotional state is. If you are in an extremely heightened emotional state, that is not the best time to make your decision. So the second thing might sound a little weird to you, but bear with me for just a moment. I want you to pay attention to what the motivating energy or the motivating emotion is behind the decision that you're making. So some examples of this would be, if your decision is motivated by guilt. Are you afraid if you don't make that decision, if you don't say yes to something, that you're just going to feel so eaten away by guilt that you're not going to be able to stand yourself and you're not going to be able to enjoy yourself anyway? Are you motivated by anger, right? Are you doing something because you are feeling kind of vindictive, because you feel like someone deserves it, even though maybe it's not the decision that you would have made otherwise? Those are two examples. There are many, many more of kind of making a decision or taking an action from an emotional space that's not super healthy and not very grounded. Those things matter. We can deal with those things, right? Those are things that we would want to process in session, or that you would want to kind of move through and kind of figure out what's been going on and why you're feeling that way. However, if that is the sole motivating energy behind the decision, or even if it's the major emotional mover behind your decision, that's probably not the best reason to make that decision. So what we would do is we would practice acknowledging that reason, acknowledging that emotional energy, and kind of setting it aside and saying, I'm going to deal with this later. Let's see what else is here. Let me see what other kind of emotional energy or motivating energy is present, because we probably want to listen to the other stuff if it's a choice between the other stuff and guilt, or the other stuff and anger. So number 3 of the ways that you can tell that you're making the right decision, or how to make the right decision, is you really can't tell if you're making the right decision. But I know that that's not super helpful, but here's a different way to look at it. If you take small steps at a time, you make small decisions at a time, you get a bit closer and a bit closer, then you are always able to make a different decision. If you take one small step forward, you declare a major in college, and then you start taking some classes based on that major, and you realize, you know what, this is horrible and I hate it. Take other classes, choose another major, right? If you have a career that you've been in for a while and that's the sunk cost fallacy, right? I put so much into this, I have so much education in this, but I really don't like it. Maybe it's time to go back to school. Maybe that means looking for other jobs that you can do with the degree that you have. Maybe you just need to work in a different place. But either way, you still get to make another decision. If you accept a marriage proposal and then you realize, I'm not sure that this is really working for me. I don't know if this is really the right relationship for me. You can always change your mind. And so what I'm really trying to stress here is that I feel like the paralysis when people are trying to make a big decision is about, I feel stuck and I feel trapped and I don't know, if I do this, am I going to really, really regret it? Well, you might. However, you're not ever, very rarely are we as stuck as we feel like we will be, right? Very rarely is there no way kind of to maneuver out of that situation. And so I want to just kind of invite you to do this mental exercise with yourself where you're saying, first of all, here are 3 things, right? First of all, am I trying to make this decision when I have a really heightened emotional state? Because I want to make sure that I still feel this way when I'm calm and everything's normal and has been for a while. Number 2, what are the motivating emotional energies behind this decision? Am I doing it because I feel free and creative energy when I think about it? Am I doing it because it makes me feel excited and like zest for lifey? Or am I doing it because I'm angry? Or am I doing it because I feel guilty if I didn't, right? Those are not awesome reasons. And number 3, how would I be able, what small step could I take towards this decision and would it be able to be undone? So is there another decision I could make after that would make me unstuck if I were to make this decision? And I would say most of the time there is something that you would be able to do. So there you have it, the 3 ways that you can know that you're making the right decision. I hope that was helpful for some of you. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them in the comments. And I will talk to you all soon. Bye.